right, recording started. Turn cameras off if you don't want them on, I guess. We're recording this. We can decide if it's going to be a useful thing to share or not. My goal today was to start to make sure everybody understands how to edit and contribute to our assembly line documentation. At our annual roadmap, our first annual road mapping meeting, a bunch of folks were interested in a documentation task force, and a documentation task force has to be a community thing. We're documenting as fast as we can internally, but we definitely need help to add the things that people were interested in adding. So I want to make sure everybody knows how to do that. And I have a couple of things I know I want to share, but I think this is more of an open forum to make sure everybody knows what that involves. So I think I'm going to share my screen because I've got a couple of things to just show here. I think everybody already is comfortable in GitHub. So hopefully there's nothing new or unusual here, but here are all of our documentation website is built from the assembly line docs repo, and that the name has changed a couple of times if you're wondering where that came from, but now it's assembly line docs, and that when we commit to main in GitHub, it regenerates the website. And in this repo, we've got 47 issues right now representing documentation that needs to be added, and I think I have gone through my notes from our road mapping session, added issues for each of the things that people need. And so most of these just need somebody to claim them and do it. And so if one of these issues is important to you, you could take it upon yourself to learn what you need to learn, to draft that documentation page or to rope somebody else into it. But it'd be awesome to get somebody on all of these things. So and obviously submit issues. If a documentation page that you would like to exist does not exist here, let's go ahead and add that issue and see if we can get somebody to write it. I thought it was worth showing you around the code a little bit. I was not around when you all started this whole thing, so I'm the rookie here, or the noob. And so if you already know stuff that I'm sharing, feel free to just tell me I'm telling you stuff you already know. But the documentation website is built using Docusaurus, which is a website framework for building documentation websites. And I can give you kind of a tour of where things live in here. So in the docs folder, these folders more or less reflect the folders that you'll see on the sidebars here. So there's a getting started here, and within the structure here, you'll see get started. And these are all of the pages here. It's not one-to-one, but for the most part, you can find them in here. And these are all markdown files. Some of them are MDXs, you'll see, instead of MD, and that just means that they can incorporate some JavaScript components. I'll show you what that looks like. Michelle really likes to use JavaScript components, so a lot of her pages are MDXs. And what that means is just if you look at the raw code, there will probably be some import statements up at the beginning, and then you'll see components like this for like buttons and things in the code. You can just work around them. These are really just markdown files. So there shouldn't be anything scary to anyone who's been editing DocAssemble interviews, since we use Markdown all the time. And so if you look at something that is just in plain vanilla Markdown like this, if you're looking at the preview, it's rendering the Markdown for you. If you look at the code, you can see it. There's some unusual things like these 3 colons with tip on the page. If we go to, let's see, we're on the beginner's guide page. So we go to the beginner's guide page, that renders as this. And I always forget what these are called, but the reason I opened up the Docusaurus website is because the documentations there are useful. And somewhere in here is going to be something that tells us what these are. Admonitions is what they call them. I always forget that word. So anyway, so the very simplest way to contribute is you can do it right here on the GitHub website. you can just click the edit this file button over here. And when you do, yeah, Michelle, go ahead and chime in.
Does each documentation page have an edit button?
I believe they do, yeah. I think you can edit directly from, oh, you mean on the documentation website?
It does.
Yeah.
It does have a page.
So if you click edit at the bottom,
yeah,
it'll
you can
just
do
take
that
you right
too,
to
and
the
it'll take you
document.
right
So
where we were. Yep, that's
there
a
you
good
go.
point. It might be a little easier to navigate that way sometimes. So you can actually edit right here. And if we made a meaningless edit like that, you can commit the changes. You'll have to do it from a pull request. So it'll automatically create one and attempt to merge it for you. So you can kind of skip over that part. And then you'll have to, well, I mean, we could actually go through the process here. It'll open a pull request for you and do this. Interesting. It must use its Copilot to add these descriptions, which is kind of funny.
You do have to press create pull request. It won't create it for you, but it'll
You're
start
right. This
it
is
for
creating
you.
a draft pull request. And you'll want to identify a reviewer, which is probably me or Michelle or Bryce or Quentin are the most likely reviewers. But somebody will need to review it before it goes live, and you can create the pull request from there. And oh, and I forgot to request a it will stop you. You have to at least request one person to approve it. So we could ask Quentin, who is nonprofit techie, to do it, and then it'll ping him and do it. There's no need to commit a blank line, but that's the process. And you can do that right from GitHub. You don't have to do anything else. And because it's just Markdown, it's pretty straightforward. I don't think you have to use other ways to edit it if you don't want to. But if you do want to, there's a couple ways to do that. And let's see, I'm just going to delete this pull request because I'm not sure I've deleted a pull request before. Let's see where do I find that?
You just marked it as closed.
No, okay. Just close that pull request. All right. So that's the other one way to do it. The other way to do it is to pull it.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, go. Oh, I have the branch to delete too, don't I?
Yeah.
Wait, they closed it, but it didn't clean up after myself. I'm making a mess here.
Sam, am I muted? Oh, can you, you went to the Docusaurus, the place that you go to look for what the code means in Docusaurus. You were on Docusaurus.io, and then where did you went to
I clicked on Docs.
Right. Do you think, would it mess up the repository for assembly line docs to put a link to this page on Docusaurus, like on the top of the repository, so we would know where to go for the code? Not here, no, in GitHub. You know where you have,
like in the README?
Yes, exactly. So I don't know if it's in there.
It actually is. Yep.
Oh, okay. And would that take you to the IO, or does that just take you to, I mean, to the docs, or just
it takes you to the main page, but then you can just click on docs from there.
Okay, I just have to remember to go to docs. That's all. Okay.
And if you want to install it locally, I can walk through that too. I tend to use GitHub Desktop because I am too lazy to learn to remember how to use all the text commands. So for me, you can click on code, and you can run this from the terminal on your computer, or you can open with GitHub Desktop, and it will clone it to your computer, and then you can open it in your preferred code editor. I like to use VS Code. You can open up the terminal in VS Code, which is Control backtick on a Mac at least, or you can probably just click here.
I think we're still seeing your browser.
Oh, did I only share one screen? Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me just share my desktop. That's what I meant to do. So to open it when you click that open in GitHub Desktop, it'll take you here, and you can go to the repository. You can open in your preferred text editor, which for me is VS Code. And if you happen to use VS Code, you can open a terminal by clicking new terminal, or it's I think it's control backtick. And if you type in npm install, already done this, but it will take a moment and install all of the stuff that it needs to make DocuSource work on your website, or on your local computer, I mean. It doesn't usually take this long. Interesting. And then you can type in npm run. I think the instructions are on the main page here. npm run start. npm run start. And that will do this, and it will automatically open in your browser a local copy of the website. And so if you want to make changes, so let's pick a page to make a change to. Let's make a change to the project architecture page. So I come back into VS Code, close that terminal. I don't need to be looking at it the whole time. And let's see, I think it's under get started AL project architecture. Sometimes the file names don't match up to the page slugs because, or to the page names necessarily, because they don't need to.
Sam, just 1 second. You you're looking at you've got DocuSource. Yeah, how are you going back and forth now between these two? Because this isn't where you weren't here. You went to your VS Code, and then you went to the.
So in VS Code, I'll do it again. So in VS Code, I typed npm run start.
Yeah.
And when you hit enter, it's automatically going to open this tab. I haven't touched anything.
Right, but then you went back to VS Code.
Yep.
And you went to this page here.
Yep.
This AL project architecture.md. You clicked on that.
Yep.
That's what we're seeing. And then the next thing we saw was this page in your browser, right? How did you do that?
I just command tabbed to switch back to my browser.
And because you were, I'm
just flipping back and forth.
You didn't go to, when you did command tab, you went to this page in your browser, not the top page, I think.
No, I think I might have clicked quickly. I might have gone through just quickly. I have a tendency to click and type quickly.
Yeah, I thought I went from VS Code to here, and I thought, how did that happen?
You're always welcome to ask me to slow down, because I do have a tendency to go too fast. So often the slug up here matches the .md page, but not always. In this case, it does. And we can see the difference. So if I change a piece of text here and then switch over to, I'm looking at the local host version here, so I can see the changes live. Obviously, it's not being reflected on the actual website. And you just have to keep track of which browser tab you're looking at. So this is just meant to be a previewer. There are some changes that won't be reflected here. Like if you make a change to the sidebar, you have to start over with npm run start again, because it has to compile that piece of it or something like that. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. It's hard. I don't really understand why they work sometimes and not others. But if you want to, I often make it side by side on my screen. So I'll split it so that I can work over here on the left. And then every time I save, it automatically updates on the right. So I often work this way when I'm making larger changes to the site. And then when you're ready, you go back to your GitHub. I use GitHub Desktop. So I would commit from here to a new branch. I would create a new branch and submit a pull request from here. If you prefer to work locally, which I generally do when I'm making larger edits. I don't normally commit right from GitHub. There are some, I think that you'll find as you're going through it that there are some conventions on how pages are structured. If you're creating a new page, I think you get to start from scratch and organize it the way you want to. DocuSource will automatically create, sorry, let me make my screen a little less busy. DocuSource will automatically create these from your headings over on the right. So you don't have to do anything special to do that. They will just automatically show up. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's the bulk of it. There's some documentation pages that are automatically generated. I think most of these are automatically generated. So, but then within there are some that are not, I think. Sorry, Michelle, or sorry for whoever, this one is, I guess we need to fix that bug. And they're all the pages are created with the title table of contents. But so these are mostly ones that you don't need to edit by hand. But a lot of the other ones are places to where we can edit them by hand. And yeah,
The table of contents phrasing gets replaced when it's published for real, just when you're running.
Oh, I see.
Has that issue.
Gotcha. Okay. So I think that's the mechanical gist of contributing to the documentation. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew how to do that. And if you have questions, I'll try to answer them, or Michelle or Quentin, who have more experience with this, can do it. As far as like, I wouldn't, this is GitHub, right? We can always we can collaborate, we can make comments, we can talk about pull requests. So I would say, don't be afraid to contribute. I would urge people to go ahead and draft your contributions and submit them as pull requests so that we can figure out how to make those improvements. Because there's a lot of documentation that we could do and a lot of improvements that we could make. And I'd love to see some of that stuff get added. So